The Raptors fought hard, fun offensive night, some great individual performances, but at the end of the day, the Warriors were a little bit too much for us. But as it comes to this season, competitive losses might be the best thing for this team. Let's break it all down for you in tonight's post-game show. All right, so the Raptors roll into the Chase Center against one of the best home court teams in the NBA, the Golden State Warriors. The Raptors are one of the worst away teams in the NBA as well, so wasn't expecting a win here for the Raptors. The scoreline isn't necessarily a fair reflection of how the game went, though. The Raptors were pretty competitive all throughout the game, but in the last few minutes, last 7-8 minutes, I'd say, the Warriors blew it open. Steph Curry blew it open. And it was a bit too much for the Raptors to handle as their point scoring drifted away a little bit later on in this game. But overall, solid performance. Wasn't expecting to win this game. You know, we have the draft implications that seem to be what Raptors fans are focusing on. OG left the game after only playing 10 minutes. It is what it is. We take it on the chin and we move on. Game tomorrow against the Portland Trail Blazers. But competitive games, solid offensive showings are what we're looking for. It's another game where the defense does not show up. I mean, it's becoming a theme here. We had that one against the Sacramento Kings that just kind of showed what we could be. But this is the type of game that earlier on this season, it was beating me down. Like we'd have that game against the Kings, and I'm like, man, like they're showing like they can be a really good team. We can still be a good team, and then a game like this happens, just goes, no, you're not. Well, I'm beyond that point. I'm beyond the point of having all these expectations about the team. So this one doesn't really affect me as much as maybe some others did, especially when the Raptors play decently well, as I said. One player in particular who did not play decently well in this game, unfortunately, was Pascal Siakam. Been a bit of a theme lately where he's having these off nights where he wasn't having any off nights before. You know, is it fatigue? Is it just a bad stretch of games? Not sure, but 8 for 26 shooting. Yeah, not good. Did fight his way to 21 points, maybe foolishly with the amount of shots that he was taking, but 20 points, 3 assists. We needed more from Siakam, and maybe we get the win. Further down the list, we got some really, really good performances tonight, though. Barnes was excellent, 24, 6, and 5. With 9 for 15 shooting, hit a couple threes as well. 2 massive blocks go along with it. Fred was probably the best Raptor on the floor tonight. Finishes with 28 points on 11 for 20 shooting. So above 50% shooting from the field. He's 5 for 10 from 3. 50% shooting from 3. 10 assists. Like he was doing a lot on offense. Excellent game. But the blemish is the 5 turnovers in this one. And Curry really had, despite Fred's good performance, Curry had the better of him in this matchup. But, if you're going to pick on Fred for the way he played today, just stop. Check yourself because he was excellent. Yeah, he's minus 10. I get that. The Curry matchup makes that difficult. Plus minus isn't the be-all, end-all stats. But if you're just out here looking for things to complain about with Fred, which a lot of people are going to be doing, feel free to just fix it on that one thing. But you actually watched the game. You know Fred had a good game. Gary Trent, also a solid game. 17 points, 7 for 14 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3. Solid game. What I was saying earlier on is that I am enjoying the fact that now, if Gary gets a kick out for a catch and shoot 3, I kind of trust him to make it. I believe, I expect him to make it. Whereas earlier on in the season, it was like, oh, please hit this, please hit this. But beyond that, Achua also great in this one. 17 points, 8 for 12 from the field. He has really, really taken a turn for the better recently. 17 points, 11 rebounds. He's been great. And further down the bench, I mean, Boucher wasn't great. He started fine, but he shoots 2 for 9. Thad wasn't great on defense here. Hernan Gomez doesn't give us much. And people wonder why Nick Nurse plays starters so many minutes. Because this is like the caliber of your bench. It's pretty straightforward as it comes to why the starters play so many minutes. Going to the Golden State Warriors side of things, yeah, Curry had a great game. 35 points, 11 assists. When he's in this sort of mood, he's very, very tough to start. Raptors gave him an edge early on, a lot of open layups. Paint defense was trash. Off-ball defense was trash. A lot of points in the paint. They were 19 for 25 in the paint in the first half. They beat us up there, and he got hot from three late on as well to pile on with 35 points. Rest of the guys kind of did their job. Draymond Green, 5 points, 7 assists, 7 rebounds, did what he had to do. Defended Pascal Siakam extremely well in this game too. Made it difficult, and you saw his Siakam stat line. Poole didn't do much, but Klay Thompson also electric, 29 points. Kevon Looney, 12 points. On the bench, Kuminga had a stretch where he hit 4 straight threes, which was kind of infuriating. DiVincenzo also big. I mean, a lot of big games here from the Golden State Warriors. A lot of it is the Raptors' bad defense. A lot of it is like, man, sometimes like what can you really do against the way this Golden State Warriors team plays on offense? Let's go to the team stats here. Raptors started the game extremely hot from the field. It cooled off as the game went on. They ended up shooting 46 and 36. To be honest, like solid numbers for us, but they shoot 56 and they shoot 42% for three. That picked up a lot late in the game. We were defending the three ball pretty well earlier on until Kuminga hit all those shots, until Curry hit all those shots, which blew the game open. Because the scoreline doesn't reflect how the game went. It was a very close game all throughout. They just blew it open late, as I mentioned. Rebounding, Raptors do a good job rebounding the ball on offense. Didn't do a good enough job really putting those back in overall. Turnover-wise, we ended up forcing more, but 10 is still a little bit too many for us to commit. You still win that sort of battle. It's just they outshoot you. You got yourself involved with a shootout against the Golden State Warriors, and it got to the point in the game where you couldn't sustain the pace anymore, and they end up winning the game. It kind of is what it is on that one. You play one of the best home court teams in the league. You play a good offensive game. They get the better of you. Nothing to really freak out about, especially with the way the Raptors are positioned this season. So 22 and 28 in the season. That's the second of this 7-game road trip. 5 more games to go on the road trip, including back-to-back. It's going to be a tough back-to-back, traveling to Portland for tomorrow's game, going up north to play them. Then you got the Suns, the Jazz, the Rockets, the Grizzlies, and executives around the league understand that this is the point where Raptors are going to be making the decisions about what the team is going to be when they return from this West Coast road trip. I don't expect this to go extremely well for the Raptors. I expect us to come out of this one probably 3-4. I could see us going 2-5, but probably going to be 3-4 out of this road trip. We're 1-1 currently, and at that point, well back of the pack, Raptors will have some thinking to do in terms of what trades are going to be. But the reason the Raptors haven't full-blown sold on the season so far is because, well, it's very easy when you look at the standings. There are 4 definitive horrible teams in the league. The Hornets on 14 wins, the Pistons on 13 wins, the Spurs on 14, and the Rockets on 11 wins. You are not catching those teams. If your goal is to tank at the best draft pick possible, best case at this point, you get the 5th pick. Right, like 5th best odds. Right now, the Raptors are at the 6th best odds. So there's not a ton of downward movement that can happen. Essentially, the only way the Raptors can go, if they go anywhere, is up in the standings. So a full-blown sell, a full-blown tank on this season doesn't really change much about your standings. You're at best the 5th best odds to get the first overall pick. So that is why there's been patience from the front office. That's why they've been waiting because, again, there just isn't really much movement at all. There really isn't any movement at all to go downwards there. So there's still more time to be patient about going further this season because if things just begin to get worse, you're not really going to move anywhere else. Things like that happen. That's why there's been the patience. That's why we're here we are. But the day of reckoning is slowly creeping up on us. The day of reckoning will be upon us soon, and it will be on the front office to decide who they want to trade. So everybody's asking me who we're going to trade, who we should trade. I defend Fred a lot, and I think there's a lot of irrational hate against him. I still feel like he's the best player to move on from. That being said, you can't get nothing from him. If you're getting a good deal, I think Fred's the best player to move on from in a retool. But if you're not getting a good trade, then that's not something you can force. OG, I mean, if he's actually dissatisfied and you can get 3 firsts I'm open to that. But now there's the threat of the injury derailing that. So we'll see what happens there. Ultimately, I think Gary will be the guy to get moved. I feel like he's a good fit for this team. I don't agree with that, but we shall see how everything plays out. I'm sure there's been a lot of work being done with the front office, putting things in place, but we're still going to wait it out a little bit longer as we get towards the end of this road trip, February 6th. Trades are coming, everybody. They're not going to happen yet, but they will be happening soon. Have a little bit of extra patience. But as far as the game goes, probably the perfect outcome. Fun game, but you still lose. All right. Let's wrap it up there. Remind you guys, no content for tomorrow on the game. Going to be away for that one, unfortunately. But after that, back to normal, back to everything, back to me covering all the games. Appreciate you guys hanging out today, tuning into the stream, tuning into the post-game show. If you did enjoy, please make sure you smash that like button and also subscribe to support Amateur and get more Raptors content just like this.